positive confirmation of a safe landing.
We're seeing it on the LCP. Very strong on LCP.
Opportunity hit a hole-in-one when she landed. The airbag system rolled into the small crater called Eagle Crater. And when the rover first turned on its cameras, it saw that the rim of the small crater was lined with exposed bedrock.
So we took out our microscope for the first time and we took a picture, and the surface of Mars at that location is littered with an uncountable number of little round things.
That were called blueberries because they looked like blueberries in a muffin. What we discovered was that those are features that form in water, and they were a really definitive sign that there had been liquid water on the surface of Mars sometime in the past.
You know, after we left Eagle Crater, we went to Endurance Crater, and that's the crater we drove down in. And there we did what the geologists call an in-sequence stratigraphic section, which is essentially reading the chapters of the Martian history book in reverse order.
That rover became a stratigrapher. First time you had a stratigrapher on Mars. We knew we wanted to go after Endurance to Victoria.
We put pedal to the metal and we started heading there, tens of kilometers away. We had to literally surf across these dunes of wind-blown material, and the rover got stuck in one of those. We had to get the rover unstuck. What we found is the best way to get it out is just to put it in reverse and gun it. The rover eventually popped out. And so we changed our driving strategy. So we recognized these ripples as hazards. We get to this giant half-mile diameter crater, Victoria Crater, and we want to figure out, gee, how can we go into this thing?
All of a sudden we got high-rise images. We could see the rover in the image.
And that was the very first image that we got from space showing one of our rovers.
We spent a year scouting the edge of that crater to decide where we wanted to go in to get the best stratigraphic section.
We found a place to go in, and we drove down in, and we spent about a year inside Victoria Crater.
The science team was really excited about the idea of driving to Endeavour Crater, over 20 kilometers away. This is a long drive to do. It was going to take multiple years, but they decided to do it anyways.
There were too many of these dangerous ripples in our way, and we actually had to take this circuitous route that at times took us away from the crater, only to then cut back and then approach it more directly.
And then we pull up to Endeavour Crater, and all of a sudden there's all these new things to look at.
We first discovered the homestake vein. It was this very, very bright linear feature. It turns out that there was a big gypsum vein, and we see these gypsum veins now all over. So it was our first taste of what is a really important process on Mars.
We were driving to a valley, and along the way there we realized that right about the point where we were about to get to this valley, that was when we were going to cross the marathon mark. So we said, well, that's cool. We're just going to name this valley after that, call it Marathon Valley. That was when we reached the distance of a marathon, 26.2 miles on another planet. We continued driving through some slopes down a little bit on the interior of the crater rim until we came back out so that we could continue on to the next valley, Perseverance Valley,
where the rover was exploring when we lost contact.
We said we're going to operate this vehicle until the day where we can't, and that's exactly what we did, and I'm really proud.
We've set a foundation that will serve as the basis for future exploration.
Okay.
Thank you for whoever in chat, Don Bat, who gave us, or RTK142, who gave us that idea. Well done. RIP, Opportunity Rover. Thank you for everything you did for us. Is that how you salute in the Federation? How do you salute in the Federation?
They don't really, that's not their thing, I don't think.
That's probably true. How do you salute in Section 31? Anyway.
Good thing that was only half on camera.
Right? Hello, everyone. Welcome to 10 Forward Weekly. Sorry if you were briefly confused about that, but I wanted to make sure that we spread the message of the wonderful Opportunity rover, which has now beeped its last out into the cosmos. Before continuing, if it's your first time tuning in, my name is Mike Fadum. I am your community manager. I'm also known as Ambassador Kel. And this is Thomas Maroney, who is the lead ship and UI artist, or as he's recently been called on Reddit, one of Star Trek's best ship artists.
Yes. Pack it up.
It's done. We're out of here. Let's go home.
The career's over. Time to retire.
Yeah. Thank you for the people who are saying my hair rocks.
Yeah, it does.
Son Wurges, I don't think you'll ever get that emote, but thanks for asking. All right. Well, normally we actually let's look at fan art real quick before we send deep into the ship. But we're going to be talking with the whole ship team, one or two at a time, and Hector and Spartan over the course of the stream.
Minus Donnie. Who,
I mean, he's taking the day off for his birthday. Is he really?
Do we have a Donnie? Really, I should have printed out a mask.
You sure we should have done a Donnie tree like we did with Scott that one time? Oh, hey, by the way, I wanted to bring this on stream. I can't show you who it's for or where it is, but check out this amazing save the date I just got. Well, okay, I just heard a little bit of who it's for. Isn't that super cool? That's neat. All right, anyway. So, yeah, let's look at some fan art. First up, have you ever, first up is Mar Hawkman. Okay, so Mar Hawkman, haven't quite figured it out. But here's a shot of the Kobali homeworld, looking spiffy. I call this shot, is there something on my head? Yes, yes there is. And then we've got this sweet shot of scanning, strange new life and new civilizations.
Okay.
And then our resident landscape artist, Nuno Espadinha, sent us this of him standing next to me. That's my Federation character.
Oh, cool.
Hanging out at DS9. He must have seen me when I was on.
Yeah.
While I was doing something in a menu. I don't know how we got this shot. I'm assuming it's from a map where there's a bird of prey already there.
Yeah, that's the Defera battle zone.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's
right, because we have the ground scale bird of prey from that Klingon mission.
Yeah.
We should use it more often in everything. All missions should have a bird of prey.
Don't look at me.
I am looking at you, though. And then we've got this shot from... is this Vulcan? I know it's one of the early missions where you go to that place with the changelings.
Diplomatic orders.
Not changelings, but...
yeah, the Undine. Pajem.
Pajem. There we go. Now, what I was going to ask you earlier, has you ever heard of Daddy Klingon? I don't know if you've been on the stream for Daddy Klingon.
No.
So this is Brett Klein's character. I was calling him Hot Klingon for a while, and then Rose came on the stream and dubbed him Daddy Klingon, which is now his name. So this is a breakdown of his armor and everything on him.
We got the tech specs for Daddy Klingon.
For Daddy Klingon. This is a super sweet shot of him on the bridge of his ship heading up to the captain's chair.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's how he gets his calves in shape.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wish I could use this bridge on my Jem'Hadar ship, or the new Jem'Hadar bridges, or any bridge that isn't the old Jem'Hadar bridge.
Oh. Talk to Jesse about that.
I know. And here we have a shot of, I'm not going to say the class name because I don't know. Thomas will know.
It's a T6 Bortos.
T6
I don't remember which parts those are, though.
Okay, but it looks sweet.
Yeah.
It looks sweet as heck. I wonder what shield that is. Is that a shield, or does it just look that awesome normally?
No, that's a shield.
Yeah. I don't know. He can tell us in chat if he's here. And then this shot of him looking at my face. I don't...
He's hailing you.
Sure, okay.
Kill on screen.
That's how I always answer all hails. And then finally, Tater sent us some really cool stuff. Here is a shot of their bridge officers marching through one of the Borg TFOs, I think.
Yeah.
And this super sweet shot of another amazing Klingon ship whose name I don't know.
It's the Varal.
The Varal.
The T6 Forcha.
Oh, the T6 Forcha that we finally got people.
Yeah.
So there we go. All right. Well, should we look at the ship? We're here to talk about that, I guess?
Definitely.
All right. So this, which all of you have been singing the praise of recently on social media, is the USS Georgiou, which is a skin for the Walker-class ship, both your T6 or your prototype exploration cruiser scaling T4 version. Tell us a little bit about it. What was the thought process that went into making this baby?
So we wanted to create something special for this new bundle that really gave, since we were going to be including the T4 Walker-class exploration ship, we wanted something special to really, if you already had that, like what's what's a cool thing that would make it even cooler, right?
Yeah.
And so I started to think about, okay, well, what if we had an extra skin for it? And I didn't really want to do a 2410 skin for the Walker because it was going to be for the Tier 4 version.
Right.
So I thought, well, so what would be a good kind of, halfway point? And so I started to think about, like, well, if it's not Tier 6, it's not going to be, 25th century technology, but maybe if we, treat it like a refit of the Walker, kind of like the way the refit Constitution or the refit Excelsior happened. So that's kind of where I started from, and then the more I did work on it, I diverged quite a bit from that idea, and eventually decided that, yeah, it's pretty much a brand new ship, but in your headcanon you can decide how you treat it. All the parts do interchange between the Walker and the Georgiou
later.
But I don't know how deep you want me to go into the lore I eventually settled on for this ship.
Well, I mean, we've sort of written about it a little bit already, but yeah, go deep.
Okay. So the idea was sort of that I decided that since this is, I decided on the motion picture era, I really love that aesthetic anyway.
I was gonna say your reasoning about Tier 4 and Tier 6 is just a massive excuse so that you can you can make a motion picture era ship.
Yeah, well, it didn't hurt, but I mean, I thought about it, and I thought, like that. It seemed to make sense to me that we wouldn't want to do a 2410 skin quite. Yeah. Just because it's not going to be a T6 ship. So yeah, I mean, then it was a good excuse, you're right, to add another motion picture era skin to the game. I think a lot of fans really love that look. It's a really classic look that's pretty timeless and has kind of some Art Deco elements to it. And so, yeah, so I kind of dialed in on that. And then we, I kind of lost my train of thought here. We started with the Excelsior, and decided that, what if this was a kind of a road not taken in terms of Federation starship design, so that because you don't really see any of these, right? This is a brand new design for this pack, but it's supposed to have occurred in 2293, 2289.
So there should be tons of them flying around.
Theoretically, I mean, there are a lot of there are a lot of Excelsiors, there are a lot of Mirandas, but there are none of these. So how do I explain that? And so the story I came up with in my head was that this was a alternate to the Excelsior, where the Excelsior was a prototype transwarp ship that kind of followed in the footsteps of the Constitution of a multi-role cruiser. This was going to be a kind of one-for-one Federation's answer to the Katinga like heavy battle cruiser originally, and then as happens in history sometimes, the circumstances wildly change. So this was conceived before the Khitomer Accords of Star Trek VI, which led to peace between the Federation and Klingon Empire. And so after that happened, they didn't need a really heavy battle cruiser anymore. So they didn't build any more of these. They only built a few, and the ones they did have, they pulled out all the heavy weaponry and turned them into the exploration cruisers, because they still had good engines and systems like that.
So there's already a lot of requests for other motion picture makeovers, but the one that I want to highlight is someone said you need to make a motion picture version of The Vengeance, and I'm highlighting it because I agree. Give me that, put it in my hands, Thomas.
I mean, the struggle with a lot of these, and actually was a problem with the Walker too, is that the scale for these ships is actually quite different. A motion picture of Vengeance would look weird because
it'd be tiny compared to the Vengeance.
Well, no, the Vengeance itself is huge,
right? So
you couldn't just scale. It would look weird to scale up all of the parts of like the Enterprise to Vengeance size, and then things. That's one thing that I really feel strongly about, is you can't just scale things up, wildly and just leave it at that. You've got to do some adjustments to make sure that it feels purpose-built at the scale it was built at. So you have to make sure that things like windows and escape pods and stuff are all the same size, no matter how you scale things up or down. Yeah. So TMP Vengeance would be interesting, but that's why I actually went with the Excelsior aesthetic instead of the Constitution for this refit, because I wanted it to be, because the Excelsior saucer was actually more in line with the size of the Walker than the Constitution was.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm looking something up. Someone in chat asked what the... okay, so to answer the question of... someone on Facebook who asked this. So the main pack, the Discovery Operations pack, is going to be 8,400 Zen on sale. If you already bought the Discovery Starter pack, then the during the sale that starts when the ships come out, which we haven't announced the date yet, but it's tomorrow, is going to be 7,350 Zen. So 7,350 Zen, if I couldn't make that clearer. So pass that word, 7,350.
7,350.
Yes, not 73.50. RTK142 is going to vote against any more Vengeance stuff in game. Too bad, I love it, so I'm going to shake things until it happens.
Vengeance isn't my favorite either, but we'll see.
It's mostly my favorite because I went by Vengeance online for a very long time when I was younger.
Yeah.
And so, I think the ship is really cool. I know you hate like saucer sections with holes in them, but I love that look. It's
at least on Discovery, they had a reason for it. Like there was a functional reason that theoretically it needed to be that way. But yeah.
Yeah. Someone says the Vengeance is the A-10 Thunderbolt of Star Trek. It's gorgeous. Okay, so tell us a little bit of some details of this baby. What should we be looking for on this ship? What's new and exciting?
There's it's a lot of if you are a fan of that look of the motion picture era, you'll see a lot of
which I discovered I really am by working on this game. When you were like, here's the motion picture version of the Enterprise, I was like, oh, it doesn't look that. Oh my god, it's so pretty.
Yeah, it's I think one of the best spaceship designs of all time.
Agreed.
So what we're looking at right now is kind of a landing pad. The docking port there at the top of the landing pad is actually to scale with the docking port on the back of the bridge of the refit Enterprise.
Oh, nice.
So if you put them next to each other, that's exactly the same size. So
this is why we love Thomas, because some people would just be like, it can be whatever size, and Thomas is like, no, I'm going to make it correct.
It's one of those things where the details matter and tell a story.
Absolutely.
And so if you have a big shuttle, like a runabout type shuttle, this is a place where it can dock. And then if you go down, that's where the actual shuttle bay is.
Inside this
the
Carousel of Progress,
which is shamelessly ripped from the Enterprise, but it's just a classic shape that I really like. And then I wanted to have some exposed machinery that kind of belied the experimental nature of the ship, so that's what's going on next to the impulse engines there.
Yeah. And you got the Miranda thing underneath.
Yeah, and that's custom. It was inspired by the Miranda's weapons pod, but I added some extra details and some energy radiators and stuff down there. Yeah. And then extra, so the Miranda only has 2 torpedo tubes, fore and aft, and this one has 4. Again, this was supposed to be like
the super battleship.
Yeah, exactly. And so we kept that look, even though theoretically since it's not actually a battlecruiser in the game. I hope people aren't too mad about that. It uses the light exploration cruiser stats.
Boy, do we have some battle cruisers for you later, though.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then we've got the those are the phaser cannons, obviously also inspired by the Miranda roll bar.
That's a cool place to put them.
Yeah, and some of that was necessary to make sure that this would customize with the original Walker. And that's especially the case with the pods on the wings. The Walker has these long pods on the wings exactly in that same place, but I thought it'd be cool to give them a purpose, so I juiced them up a bit, turned them into kind of giant phaser cannons, and then inspired by pontoons you might see on a World War II airplane. I wanted that kind of aesthetic, which I felt really fit into the motion picture era look. Yeah. And then we've got original nacelles. The nacelles are all new. Kind of in the back of them are kind of inspired by the Oberth from that era.
But nobody likes the Oberth.
No, that's not true.
I know a lot of people like the Oberths. I just like to make that joke.
And I wanted it to be pretty clean, but also have it's a good design principle. You have areas that are really clean and open, but then you have areas of really tightly focused details.
So I Am Alan has my favorite question, which is how come Cale and Thomas are so darn handsome? But no, the serious question, Captain B Money, who has been calling you Tom in chat, which is weird to me because I've never heard anyone call you Tom.
No.
What are your feelings on the Phase 2 Constitution, the Phase 2 Enterprise? That was apparently a pretty good. They say it's a pretty good bridge between original series and motion picture.
Yeah, it's an interesting design. Eagle Moss did a model of it.
Yeah.
Pretty recently. It's something I thought about putting in the game someday if we get an opportunity to do it. But it's neat. It's actually Matt Jeffries designed it while he was working on Little House on the Prairie. So after Star Trek, he went on to do other shows.
Yeah.
He did Little House on the Prairie, and then when they were spinning up the next Star Trek TV show, which was Star Trek Phase 2, that Matt Jeffries came back and redesigned the Enterprise, and that was the starting point for the motion picture after they canceled
the series and went on to the movie instead. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool. Speaking of Eagle Moss, I know the Enterprise F isn't entirely your design, but you did do some upgrades on her. How is that feeling to have an Eagle Moss version of one of your ships?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's really cool. I can't wait to
actually have it in
my
our hands.
Yeah.
I know.
And then for people who get that, actually, I wrote the magazine that comes with it. So
which is amazing. I've read through it. He did a really good job.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Yeah. Let's see. All right. Well, while we've got this guy up, why don't we just head over to ESD really quick? What is it?
KFR.
There we are.
Soul System.
ESD Grabber 2, so we can do the Taylor with the right lighting. So we can show some of the customizations you can do with the two different chips. Or I'll just break everything.
Oh my god.
What have I done? What is it?
What did you do?
What did I do? Okay, here we are.
Everything's fine.
Nothing happened.
We're all fine here now.
How are you? Fun fact, the angled pylons and square nacelles in the refit Phase 2 were first designed for the TOS Enterprise as an alternate design if Roddenberry didn't like the round designs. That's interesting. I did not know that. I assume Thomas knew that because it's Starships and Thomas knows.
I don't think I knew that.
Customized ship. All right, so here we have the Georgiou version, and then this is the Walker version for people who have forgotten. So now let's go switch some things out. So we're going to do the Georgiou saucer. We'll do Walker strut. I don't know. Georgiou pylons, and stick with Walker nacelles, and then we can do a variety of different materials.
Yeah, we have
more Starfleet-y.
Pretty much all the materials are available. Well, not pretty much. Exactly all the materials that are available on the on either version of the Walker. You'll still have those.
Yeah, and you can change out your colors here as usual.
Yep. I did want to point out that on the Georgiou pylons, even though you're using the Walker nacelles, the nacelles are still sticking straight up like they are on the Georgiou. And then if you switch pylons
to the Walker
and then change your nacelles to Georgiou, they'll be canted down like they are in the Walker.
Oh, dude, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Well done.
Nice. So that was a pain in the butt, but it's cool to give people that variety.
Yeah, that's neat.
So there's a lot of, it's only 2 variants, but there's some fun
a lot
stuff
of
you can do.
customization options though that you can do there.
So actually change out the uh-oh.
Yeah, no, I'll get it.
All right.
Here, do what you will with this ship.
Okay. I'm Mike now.
No. All right, I'm back.
Oh.
It didn't take long. Cthulhu is yelling, "Bash the kits!" That's nice. That's really nice. Actually, that teal color looks real good on this ship.
Yeah, it does.
Material.
Yeah, and then we've got the so if you go to the bottom, and so there's the that's cool, the Walker pylons with the Georgiou strut. Yeah. And then you can change. So if you change out the strut, you can see how it compares.
I think the Georgiou strut better though.
Yeah, it's funny. The Walker strut is pretty basic. It's just some windows. There's not like a whole lot of functionality to it.
It's almost like they were designing the ship to blow it up in episode 1.
It's pretty. I mean, the model was pretty detailed, but because they do get really close to it. One of the things that we did change, hopefully people aren't too mad about it, is in order for the torpedoes to work on the Georgiou, I moved the torpedo node to the strut for the Walker as well, because they have to be on the same, we call it a bone, but they have to be on the same thing. So most people probably won't notice, but the torpedoes now fire from the Walker strut, so that we could get that torpedo thing to be functional, which is important.
Yeah, always going to add things that are functional.
Right.
Well, that's cool. All right, so I didn't get time because there were 5 ships to make shield things for everybody. So let's do a quick look at some shield options on this bad boy, and then we'll switch over to the Georgiou.
Does James Michael Simpkins on Facebook, does what also work with the T4?
This skin, yes, this skin specifically works with the T4 Walker. It also works with the T6, but if you buy the operations bundle that gives you the skin, you will get the Tier 4 scaling Walker with it.
Right.
And if you already own it from buying the starter pack, then you'll get a discount.
Yep.
Yes, Basil, I did break it, but it's fixed now. Shut up. All right. Oh, does this character not have shields on it?
No.
Okay. I guess I won't be showing you that stuff. Well, we do have one type of shield. We have the Romulan Advanced prototype, so I can enable those visuals and you at least see that, which is pretty cool. Very green.
So Excelsior aficionados will note that it's got one big impulse crystal on the top back of the saucer, as opposed to the Excelsior from, so that's in Star Trek 3 the Excelsior showed up with that, but in Star Trek 6, the next time you see the Excelsior from the top, it has 2 smaller ones, which this also actually has a row of
smaller ones.
8 of them. Yeah. So why not?
Yeah.
But I tried to do something here where like all of both engines flow into that impulse crystal, which really added a cool sense of direction to the ship. Like it's all reinforcing, that arrowhead shape.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the background there.
Augmented Dictator, we're getting to KDF ships in a bit. Don't worry. We're going to do the Federation ones first. And speaking of which, where are we going? DLT, Takara. Do we know if Hector's coming?
Here.
Hey, come on in, buddy. Grab a chair. Perfect timing.
Does he sit between you and me, or is he?
On the end.
Okay.
I figured you'd be staying in, so I put you in the middle.
Thanks.
All right, let's switch this up. Thompson Hector. Yep, I did that right.
Yay!
All right, welcome. For those of you who don't know, this is our concept artist, Hector Ortiz.
What's up?
And this. There we go. Get the shield off there. Is my favorite Federation ship we've ever done.
Nice.
The Gagarin. This thing is so pretty. Now, before we dive too much into looking at the actual model that Donnie made, I wanted to, since you wonderfully put this on Twitter for me, Hector, I wanted to take a look at your concept art first. Do you want to talk a little bit about the process of making this piece of art and what you were thinking about for the Gagarin?
Yes, actually, well, the thing is that I have a great starting point with the Discovery ship. What's the name of the Shepherd? Was it?
Shepherd, yeah.
The Shepherd, yes. Yeah. So we have a decent starting point. There were a couple of things about the Discovery ship that I wasn't really that happy, like how the elements mix with each other. So that was my first concern, taking care of how those elements mix. Some of the Discovery ships have that kind of aesthetic where you have the saucer, you have the nets, or you have this, and everything is kind of blocks put on top of each other.
Yeah.
So in our aesthetic here in the studio is to make everything more integrated. It's more like a piece. Everything is made with one mold.
Yeah.
So that was my first thing, and also I wanted to have something to look similar to the Discovery, and that's why the whole section, the underneath section, looks a little bit like the Discovery. It's like this gigantic triangle that I kind of like because it's a fast-looking ship, and why not?
Yeah, it's real pretty. And so this was Donnie's baby, but since he's off celebrating or something, we can Thomas can talk about it. Apparently, I have engine visuals on too. There we go. All right. So tell us a little bit about what this guy is and what. I mean, obviously, we decided we were going to make 2410 versions of some of the Discovery ships, and this was one. Was this our first one, or did we do the Shran first? Well, we did the Europa first. But...
Yeah, and then we did the Europa, then we made this, and then we did the Shran.
Yeah.
Actually, can you go disable the Borg?
Oh, is there more bits on it?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, people probably aren't
Yeah.
going to notice them too much, but I do.
I will. I use that console on my ship, and I always forget to disable them. I think I still see one. No, that's just a green light. Never mind.
So yeah, I mean, it was important to me that as we add stuff to the game from Discovery, that we're still moving forward in Star Trek Online's timeline as well. And so I did what I could to take these opportunities to not just reproduce what you see in Discovery, but also reinterpret it through the lens of our own aesthetics, so that STO has its own visual identity that we're preserving even as we start incorporating all this other stuff from Discovery, which is really cool. But it's also cool to use as a starting point to even stretch out our own language of what a Starfleet ship is.
Yeah, the Shepard is by far my favorite class from Discovery, and so I love what you guys did in terms of taking it and adding all these little details, between our classic black ring that we have all of our World 2410 ships to this new strut that adds in and kind of changes the silhouette a little bit. It's a really, really interesting looking design.
And if you really look close at this and then look at the Shepard, you'll see there are a lot of little hints that point back to the Shepard very, very specifically, like the two long posts that run the length of the ship. That's in there, and the how the struts come and connect to the body is also and the fact that there are two struts. The struts are actually tiered. If you look at them from the front, that's another key aspect of the Shepard we wanted to make sure that we kept.
Yeah. God, that's pretty.
Yeah, and also at the bottom, how the deflector cowling. It's a very...
Where's the deflector cowling? Over
here?
here?
Yeah, that's the deflector. All of that is very reminiscent of the original, but again, it's not upside... So I talked to Donnie about that. The name is not upside down. It actually is meant to be that way because from the front, you actually wouldn't see that because that's an inset.
Oh, yeah. So you would only see it if you were coming in underneath them like a shuttle or something.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you pull back...
Yeah.
And the other thing, if we look at it from the side, the other thing that was really kind of an important part of the Shepard's aesthetic is the saucer. Usually Star Trek ships, the saucer is more curved on top and flat on the bottom.
Yeah.
And in this case, the Shepard is more curved on the bottom and flatter on the top.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so the Gagarin, follows that tradition as well.
Yeah. The college student says, it's like that so if they run you over, you can get the name. Someone's asking where the bridge on this ship is. I assume here-ish?
Right, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And then we have the cool translucent nacelle caps.
Oh, geez. I saw that on the concept art. I didn't realize we'd actually got it through. That's really cool.
Since it was really emphasized on the concept art, we decided to go and add that in the model.
That's really cool.
Which is something that we've been doing on the... Discovery ships too, is we would have the spinning nacelle caps and stuff. They're pretty subtle because it's actually really hard to tell on the show. Like you can see there's something going on in there, but it's hard to tell if they're spinning. So we have it, but it's pretty subtle.
Yeah.
But it's a cool thing. The trade-off, just so people know, is that those don't change color when you change your shields because they're a completely separate set of materials.
So you'll always have orange.
They'll always be orange no matter what your shields are. But I think it's worth it to see the cool.
Well, and that could really stand out too. Like if you throw the Riemann shield on this thing, I imagine like that bright orange contrast will be really nice.
Right.
Yeah. What are these things?
What are they? I think they're on the concept.
They're on the concept.
I remember telling Donnie add that. That's on the concept. It's cool.
Yeah. That's cool.
Hatches for probes or torpedoes. Or
there we
something.
go. That makes sense. Didn't mean to put you on the spot. Sorry.
No,
it's all right.
We've got the Hector takes a lot of inspiration from old cars.
Yeah.
Isn't that from
Lamborghinis and stuff like
nice.
that.
Yeah.
Of course.
Lamborghini taillights, that makes sense.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Since these ships don't have the gigantic engines of other sci-fi IPs, we had to close them somehow, and we had to be really creative. If you notice other IPs, they just put a bunch of engines in the back and that's it.
Yeah.
We don't have that liberty. We have to actually think what we're gonna put there.
Yeah.
And I really like this design because there's a lot. Well, it's very elegant, but there's a lot of function built into that elegance. with how the back looks. Like, you know, the layers and decks are really precise. You've got the engines, and above that is the shuttle bay, and you have the RCS thrusters. It all looks very clean and considered, but it also looks like a functioning, you know, spaceship, which is a really hard balance to strike.
Yeah, I like these the gap here in the nacelles. That's a really cool and interesting design. Was that just you were thinking trying to make them look different and cool, or was there?
That's something that's one thing we have done a couple of times already in different ships. Is just splitting the nacelle like that.
Nice.
So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, we've done so many Tier 6 ships now that we definitely have a language that we come back to, and I actually think it's a strength because it kind of it gives us something to hopefully people see, like, oh, that's a Star Trek Online ship, and when they say that, that's a good thing, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We definitely have our own design language.
Right.
Someone on Facebook was asking if you get the Shepherd skin when you purchase this ship. Yes, you do.
Yes.
Do they customize with each other?
Yep.
Oh, well, let's check that out.
I know. Let's check it.
Let's see if I break everything again.
Oh,
I hope so.
did it happen? What happened?
Oh, the camera like started like jittering super fast.
I've seen it once or twice happen before. Oh, it might happen again.
That was
we're getting the blue
freebie.
Screen. Yep, here we go. Woo! Okay, we're here.
Yeah.
Should make a dev button that teleports me straight to the ship customizer.
Oh gosh, that would be really useful.
Because I don't have the EY on. I was like, why can't I customize my ship?
What's funny is that when I'm playing in holodeck, I always try to push F2 to fly.
Oh yeah, I know, right?
I'm like, I can't do that here.
It's not a thing. All right, so just to remind everyone, this is the Gagarin that we've been looking at. This is the Shepherd, the original version. Let's take a look at some mix and matching. So then we'll do the Shepherd Hull.
That sounds like a German holiday.
Mix and match. We'll do. And so you can see the nacelles. You can change between the Shepherd and the Gagarin.
Well.
Oh, that's an interesting bug.
It'll
be fixed when it goes live.
No, it's not.
Oh,
just click on it. Yeah.
Okay, then it fixes. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I don't know why that happens.
Yeah, that's neat. That's really neat.
Oh, so that's the Gagarin Hull with Shepherd Hull.
Yeah,
with
Gagarin stanchions and the Shepherd nacelles.
Nice.
Or we could do Gagarin nacelles.
Yeah.
And
that's pretty cool.
Shepherd, yeah, that's really cool actually.
Oh, they're raised there.
Yeah. Let's see, Shepherd and Gagarin. And there's another possible combination, and that is also a really freaking cool looking ship. Yeah. That's really sleek, man. Yeah. And as before, you know, you can mess with the colors. You can put that cool teal on it we had earlier. Actually, I was looking for it because you had that really cool purple reflection in your concept art, so I wanted to see how purple would look on this bad boy. Because I really liked that, but then purple might all be too dark.
Well, if you change materials, it'll...
Oh, good idea.
So if you change to like type 6 or something. Yeah.
That's too much. Yeah. Okay, too much. Backing down on the purple.
It's my Little Pony version.
There we go. That's not bad.
Yeah.
This is okay. That's the inside the ring stuff.
It's a warrior's color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Prune juice. Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
So I think we have on all these we have the Type 8 materials here. I know a lot of people have been wanting to see that on more ships. Yep. That's the motion picture era.
And that looks really nice. Let me switch back to the original version and put the Type 8 on there. Ooh, that's very clean.
That's nice.
That's nice. That's a good look. Let's apply those changes and take this bad boy up to space. JE, do you unlock? JE wants to know: do you unlock all the Discovery materials or just one?
All of them. I think you get 5.
Cool. Sir Boulevard says, Thomas, you should push someone in content, add the Gagarin to the Sol system on April 12th in honor of its namesake. That's one of those things that actually sounds eminently doable, and I may go bug Jesse about it after this.
Nice.
I don't know. I've got 5 Champions blogs to put together after this. When are we getting... Oh, sorry. That's not a question we can answer. Just for people who don't know, we don't talk about upcoming content unless we've already announced it, or have special dispensation to do so on these streams. Oh, that's really nice.
Can I see the belly?
Yeah, there may not be a lot of light on it. Oh no, that's Oh, that's
yeah.
good. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's a good starship right there. We should send this one to some people. Some people we were talking to earlier. Because I want it. Yeah. So, folks, anyway, we don't talk about upcoming content, so that will include what ships we are or are not working on right now, other than the ones we've already announced.
We are making new ships.
Yeah.
We can say that there are new ships being made.
In fact, I believe I have been given special dispensation because we talked about it on Priority 1 on Friday, and I told Jet she could talk about it. We do have Romulan and Jem'Hadar ships on the schedule.
Hooray!
Huzzah! Millard Audine, I can answer that question. So the reason that your ship crews don't have the ability to change uniform the way your bridge officers do is because their uniform is based off of the map. When you go visit the bridge of your ship, it's not detecting what ship you're on or what kind of character you want. It's sending you to a game map like you were going to a mission. And so all the NPCs in that map are set up like NPCs would be for a mission. I don't think that will never allow you to change uniform, but it's a pretty big task. And so it's something that's on a lot of people's lists, but it may not get gotten to right away. But we do know you guys want that. Ronnie Jackson Jr., yes, my hair is purple.
Do not adjust your TV.
Let's see. Do the Discovery ships come with Discovery bridges? Do you know?
I don't know. I would assume... I know the Walker comes with the Walker bridge.
Yeah.
We could visit the bridge and see...
Yeah, we'll see. At least we'll know what the default is for the Gagarin. STO Admiral Aaron, you're always too late for the cookies.
Oof.
Yes, Prank Kill, I did say what the price was if you already have the pack. It's 7,350 Zen. If you during the sale that we're doing when these ships launch tomorrow.
We're good on time.
Augmented Dictator Games. The Sticks didn't have a Discovery bridge because there wasn't time to make one. Unfortunately, there wasn't time to make a mirror Discovery bridge.
Huzzah!
Yay! We got the Discovery bridge. So yeah, the Gargarian comes with the Discovery bridge.
Well, a Walker bridge.
Walker, yes. Sorry, the Walker bridge. A Discovery era bridge is what I meant.
Right.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, let's move on then. The next up is the Shran, I believe. Let's just map move.
The Shran was actually designed by Donnie Versaja.
And modeled by him.
And modeled by him, too.
Happy birthday, Donnie.
Happy birthday, Donnie. He is not here, so we will be making up lots of completely untrue facts as we discuss the ship for him.
Yeah.
But actually, yesterday, I think, or maybe the day before, Ego Moss on their website, Hero Collector, published an article for us describing the design process of the Shran.
We're backed up a little bit on schedule. I guess we'll go through the Shran quickly.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like 4:45.
Holy cow!
Yeah, that was fast.
Sorry, guys. And I'm not apologizing to you guys because you've gotten good content. I'm apologizing to the people waiting in the hallway. Oh God, get the friggin' visuals off of it. All right. So since Don isn't here, his ship gets less attention.
Oh no!
Oh
no!
So just give us a quick rundown of this bad boy.
It's based on the McGee from Discovery, the same sort of thing that we did with the Shepard / Gagarin we did here, where we took the original and 2409'd it. We added some elements from the Akira and the Defiant. It's a pilot escort. We knew it needed to look fast and maneuverable, so we wanted to keep the beefy engines from the McGee. And then we added a couple other elements to make it feel more contemporary. Wanted to,
whoa.
Yeah.
Always when I have a pilot maneuver ship, I will show off a pilot maneuver.
We wanted to keep it compact. Obviously, we love the flying saucer, Cylon Raider kind of look of the McGee.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that survived. And yeah, it was kind of one of those things. Like the first time I looked at the Meek, I was like,
Yeah.
But the more I looked at it, the more I liked it, and I think this interpretation of it really turned out.
So the lighting kind of
nicely.
sucks. I apologize, but this is the McGee and the Shran.
Yeah,
and this is the customization you can do.
You can swap out nacelles and saucer and
Yeah.
do some cool stuff.
So, yeah,
and it
there's
has
a
the
couple
same
combinations you can do.
material options
And
as the other ships.
We will just
Yeah.
briefly stick the Type 8 on it.
Yep.
And apply that.
Donnie wanted to make a ship, and we told him, "You're gonna make half a ship."
Oh my god, with the Type 8 that looks so nice. I know. Oh my god, I need to start putting Type 8 on everything. That I can anyway. Oh, that's so nice. All right.
I heard that shade.
Yeah. All right, so that's the Shran.
Okay.
Thank you, Donnie. Happy birthday.
Bye,
you two
everyone.
get out. Mo, get in here.
Alright. All yours.
Ian, you can come in and join us if you want. Like, you can just hang
I
out.
should bring a green t-shirt every time.
I'm leaving. Bye, everyone.
Bye, Thomas. Thanks for being awesome. All right. Everything is cool and you're part of it. I wonder if I have an Ian and Mo from ages ago. Nope, I've never had you guys on at the same time.
Together?
All right.
No. We don't like to share
All
screen
right.
time.
So this is Mo, this is Ian. They are both, or at least we're ship artists. Mo has abandoned us.
I'm dead to this day. OG.
Dead to us. Let me get to Takara so we can get a little look at this thing. So this is the Discovery Bird of Prey, which you have sitting on your desk.
Which is right here.
Oh, it's so pretty.
It is very cool.
Yes. Yes.
Makes a good hat.
Yes. Yes. Good hat?
Oh, yeah.
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 Yes.
I think it's charming.
That's
All right. Well, that's how we're doing the rest of the stream, guys. I'm just going to keep my head very still so I don't break this.
Don't break
It's
it.
fine.
So this is one of a
Here you
kind.
go. I know.
Yeah, never one of a kind. But
Oh, so this is one of the first and kind of most yeah, I guess one of the most famous ships from the Klingon side from Discovery, and this is their take on the best ship in Star Trek, the Bird of Prey. What was the kind of the process of taking? Did we have like a model from the show when we put it
yes,
together?
we did have
oh,
a
nice.
model from the show.
Nice.
Which he was a complete mess.
How was it a mess?
Too many polygons.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So there's a lot of cleanup behind this.
Yeah.
So
what's the process of cleaning up something like that like? How do you because when you're taking a ship that's like too high polygon for our game because it's designed for, a TV show.
Yeah.
How do you I guess lower the polygons while
first
still
I
making
think
it the same
you
ship?
kind of like visualize in your head how something that takes so much space can be like simplified into
Yeah.
a single plane. Because if you see like each one of those strips on the wing, if you get really close, you'll see it's just actually one flat plane. But on the actual model, there is just like ridges coming in, going down into crevices, and the whole thing is like nicely modeled. But we cannot afford doing that. And still, this is a very high polygon model for what we do in STO.
Yeah, this is really
it's
cool.
it's like condensing also things into materials and simplifying form.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is there any of like cool things on this ship that you wouldn't see unless you were looking at it up close?
To me, the most interesting thing about this ship is how androgynous is.
How androgynous it is.
Yes,
What do you mean
because
by
it
that?
has like it has a very female and male elements to it blended together. And it also has to do with like the amount of detail that they put on the ships. That is not, to a certain point we cannot show it in here, but there was a huge like photo montage of Moroccan Gothic stuff on the textures.
Oh, that's cool.
Like if you actually saw the actual model from the TV show, you will see there's just like photo bashing of very intricate materials into it, and you really wouldn't see this in the game because you never get this close to the ship.
Yeah. Yeah. You're back here the whole time.
So it's about it's all about like a lot of trickery behind doing materials.
Yeah, that's cool. What's your favorite part of her?
I really like this pine in the back and how it leads around the entire outline of the ship. You look at it from the side.
Yeah, this map is beautiful for showing off ships unless they're black. Then it becomes more difficult.
Yeah. So also like about getting like those like highlights to show off the different like planes and the complexity of the ship.
Yeah, when you're working in basically one color like this, do you have a lot of like? I mean, obviously this is like 15 different shades of the same color, but is that actually done by the lighting, or are you actually like taking these and making them slightly lighter so they'll show up more?
They're slightly lighter. The material is actually slightly lighter, so you can actually define those planes even better.
Yeah, that's cool. Kukalin74 says, you can't convince me H.R. Geiger didn't draw this. You're not wrong, bro.
Yes. No, I can see that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It has a very alien head look to it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, since we're here, this one doesn't have a 2410 version, so it's nothing to customize it with. But let me see if I can pop the fleet version. Did you make the fleet material?
No.
Okay. Who did?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I have not been in STOT
I think is
in a while.
really old.
Yeah.
I don't even remember who made it. It might have been me.
Oh, okay. So that's a default material then. I didn't realize that. It looks really cool on the ship.
There's a separate one. I don't think there is.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go.
Oh, you got all the info. Sweet.
Yeah. There we go. So let's just switch over.
Oh my god, I haven't seen these.
Oh, dude, it looks really good. When I was taking screenshots, I was like, oh, that looks so Klingon.
I didn't know we were going to be doing this.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you go,
yeah.
oh my
god.
god.
Look with that with the Klingon skin on it. That is a,
this old tech
that is a nice ship. That is really cool.
They should have just made it green.
Right?
The show.
I agree, but you know, that's not up to us. And actually, the blue lights work really well in this color
if
too.
I knew that this was going to happen, I would have made some tweaks to it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you still can. You got until tomorrow. Just abandon whatever you're doing on that other game and come back to us to do some tweaks on this.
I'm like high polish on the other team, so I don't think they will allow me to do go back to the STO team.
Somebody was saying this looks like they can't get over how this looks like the head of a giant robot. I can totally see that. We need to make a Klingon Megazord now. Just combine all the things so it can fight the what was the thing, Optimus or Tiberius Prime or whatever, the one that just happened in the comics, the transforming Constitution class.
Yes, it is either. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome.
The top of that is actually in the CG model that we got from them is almost identical to the Cleve ship.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh. Oh, that's cool.
They did a lot of reusing of parts, and they'd stretch and rotate something. And
makes sense, because for those first two episodes, they were making like 20 ships for each side or something like that.
It did, yeah. And even this ship shares a lot of other parts.
Yeah.
The back end of this
ship.
How
come I didn't borrow your stuff?
Of this ship, of the Raider.
Yeah.
The small craft.
Okay.
Was just ripped off and put onto the top of
it's
the
like,
Coup, which is the ship we're going to see next.
I don't understand. It's
they
like
all share parts.
you'll think that every ship will be unique for the show,
but you got to save time somewhere, and if you can make it look cool, that makes sense.
Yep.
While we're
Star Trek tradition.
While we're here, if it's not physical models, but while we're here, let's do a barrel roll.
Hey.
Excellent.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we gotta probably wrap this ship up and move on to the Coup. But is there anything else cool about the ship you want to talk about before I throw you out and get you back to work?
No, I'm really busy, so...
Yeah, no, that's totally fine. Thanks for taking out time out of your schedule and coming to join us.
Get out of here.
Have a good time, guys.
You too.
Moving over.
Oh, people are saying cloak it, cloak it, cloak it. Okay, I will cloak it before we go to the next one. It's called Battle Cloak. Here you go, kids. Oh, let me move that. Ooh. Ah. That's not the Discovery Cloak, though.
No, it's not.
It should have the Discovery Cloak. This may be an old build, but I might talk to Effects about that later. Might be a change. If it goes live like that, it's a change we'll probably make later on. All right, cool. Let's switch ships.
Ew.
Oh, it's much larger.
much larger, yeah.
So the Coup is a really interesting design. I got to admit, I thought this was the front of it for the longest time.
Well, it doesn't help that a certain company that made some art that got distributed took their picture backwards.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so tell us a little bit about the Coup. What was it like making this ship? Was this also a model we got from CBS?
It was a model we got from them. And it looked at first glance we saw all these pipes, the little details, and they weren't necessarily on a flat enough surface, so we were definitely getting ready to pull out a lot of hair.
Yeah.
Out of just fear of just how much detail we had to put in it to make it look right, you know. And it didn't help either that in the show there were several different versions of it seen on screen.
Right.
With different colors, and one of them had a big blue engine in the back, and another one had a red engine, and another one had a yellow engine on the top. They were all over. So we kind of chose something in the middle.
And just kind of balance it based on...
Yeah. You know, once I really started looking at it and really getting down into the details, I started seeing lots of other little bits that were shared on all sorts of other Klingon ships.
Yeah. Like what, sir?
Most of it. Like I said, the top, if you look at the yellow part there on the back end, the top back end.
This guy?
Yep, that's
that's
the Raider. Right there.
There it is.
Yep, tacked on. Yep.
Like, that is really the Star Trek tradition.
It truly is, yeah. So if you look in between on the red arms that go down either side, in the middle of it there's a bunch of kind of greebly details, and that's seen on every Klingon ship as far as I've found.
Oh, wow.
In some way, shape, or form. Usually slightly different color, slightly different variation, size, scale. Some of them are bent and twisted around a little bit. But yeah, the ship had a lot of like organic kind of, it felt like skeletal and ribs. And, which was cool. It was a pretty fun ship to work on.
A lot of the Binary Stars Klingon ships have that kind of organic feel. Mm-hmm. How many of the Binary Stars Klingon ships, or Binary Stars ships, did you make? Because we had to build like 15 ships to get that
I don't even know,
thing off the ground.
I stopped counting.
Yeah. I love this little detail here of the I assume Targ skull, but
something like that. Yeah, I'm not sure. Some of it is almost identifiable as something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely I think this is the most unique design of all the Klingon ships that I've seen. Really, that kind of breaks a lot of the rules.
Yeah, for sure.
I didn't used to.
I didn't see these guys at first. That's really interesting.
Yeah. There's a lot going on. Yeah, for sure.
All right, so personal headcanon time. What do you think this big round ring is for?
Oh, I think it's a weapon generator. Oh, for sure. Right?
That makes sense.
I guess.
Klingon, the biggest thing on the ship would be a weapon. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's cool. Someone asked, how long do you think Jula will last against dragons? I don't know. She's pretty wily.
Yeah.
Let's see. Penthelis was wondering if we were getting other versions of the coup, like a 2410 version. Not right now, but it's not a never. It's not a never say. It's not a never thing. Yeah. Words I can speak.
I would like to. That'd be fun. But
that would be really cool.
You know, there's a lot of other ships we got to make still. So.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with the schedule and stuff like that. So what little details in this guy can we not see unless we're up close?
Most of the piping and stuff in there and the layering, and it looks like a mousetrap game setup, right? Like if you just get down into there, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's
it
super
really
interestingly exposed stuff. Like, which is interesting because Klingons traditionally have had kind of a less thrown together aesthetic, but that's I think because
at least there's a single direction. With there's pipes or there's exposed engines. It's very clearly just a few parts.
Right. But this is
this all over.
Right, and that makes sense now because we had that whole thing where they're talking about how we're making the D7, we're making standard Klingon ships from now on.
Definitely.
And so this is probably more of a almost like somebody's hot rod,
Definitely. It has a very very motorcycle feel. Also, right, where there's all the exposed engines on the other side. It's just a few smooth panels over the top. It wouldn't even surprise me if that's kind of where they pulled a lot of this from. Yeah. Those old CG models of some kind of sci-fi motorcycle.
Yeah. Let's see. Kevin Griffith, thank you very much. Lots of people complimenting my hair. Quantec 84 says it looks a little bit like a closed tang. That's actually true. It does.
Sure.
A little bit like the knife. This would be a bit longer if it was, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely. There are some shared features as well. If you get close to that head, it has the little flare on the side for sure.
Yeah. It's I like one of the things I like about all the Discovery ships is in addition to the cleave, which is clearly built for it. They all kind of look like they would be trying to ram you at some point, especially this guy.
Nice and stabby.
Yeah, very very stabby.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, cool. Let's see. What questions do we have about this ship, folks? I don't think there's going to be a Discovery Klingon bridge on this because we haven't built it yet. But that's the bridge would be the bridge from the sarcophagus if we were going to make one, because that's the cannon bridge we have, and hopefully we'll get to that at some point. Can you customize this guy? Let's find out.
It doesn't have any customizable geometry
parts, but
it should be able to use most of the Klingon materials that we're
so
used
let's
to.
play with some materials. It's not going to be great lighting, but that's okay. Actually, it's pretty good lighting. Never mind, I lied. So we got Coog material, type 0. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's nice. Type 1, type 2, also nice. Type 3, type 4, your upgrade skin, and your veteran skin. So there you go. So that is the coup. Thank you very much for joining us.
Adios.
Get back to work. Jet, get in here.
Hey.
Welcome, welcome. How are you?
I am doing pretty great. How are you?
Good. Where's your name? There's your name. Welcome to the stream once again.
Thanks. Yeah, it's great to be here.
Yeah. Well, let's play with some starships. So these are the new ships of the operations pack. We've looked at all 4 of them. This is the battle cruiser, which is the battle cruiser the same for both races with some minor stat stuff, or just the battle cloak, or what's different?
It's pretty much just the battle cloak, and then all the hard work that the ship people do. There's a lot of that hard work that the ship people are doing. Speaking of the battle cloak, actually, I don't know if you saw the battle cloak on the ships today, but I made a change earlier today that switched them to using the Discovery Area.
Oh, good.
visuals.
We were just talking about that. I was going to talk to you about it on the stream.
that change won't be going out tomorrow, but hopefully next week.
Cool.
So
awesome. Yeah, some people are pointing out your new hair is also awesome, and we kind of match now.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Not intentional, but awesome.
Although I was thinking about the green screen, because that's why I decided against green hair. I didn't want to just have half of my hair just be missing. It'd be funnier if it was the top part, because then there'd still be this purple down here. But yeah.
Twitch chat is like combo haircut. All right, so let's take a look at this guy. We'll try and kit it out with some useful stuff before we fly out into the nethers to fight. But we don't have a lot of useful stuff on this character. Look, this is the disruptor beams and torpedoes that come with it. Any devices I should add? Sure. Okay.
I think it's only going to pull stuff out of your inventory at the
right.
moment.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just putting some stuff on
This
it.
character definitely has good things on it. You just can't get them because they're locked on other ships.
Oh, well, there we go. All right, let's go fly then. I'll just, there we go. So what's, what makes a battle cruiser? Let's start there. When you're designing for a battle cruiser type ship, what are you looking to do?
Well, so a battle cruiser is it starts with the base cruiser, and then it generally has a tactical lane. A decent amount of this time, this shows up in the weapons layout, like it did on these ships, and then it's got a 5-3 weapons layout instead of 4-4 or 3-5, like you actually might see on a couple of other ships. And then the abilities, the seating, the power levels, those things generally lean it towards a tactical focus. Like you can see on this ship has at least a Lieutenant Commander tactical. They're more likely to have 4 tactical console slots than any other type of cruiser, and the bias towards weapons power that I mentioned earlier.
Sure.
This is a Miracle Worker battle cruiser, so if I remember correctly, it actually has 15 weapons power, 5 shield power, and 10 engine power as its boosts. Which is a lot, because Miracle Worker cruisers are awesome.
Super powerful, and they get that extra console slot, too.
Yeah, the universal console slot.
Cool. So what specifically about this ship should we be looking for? What makes her stand out in a land of battle cruisers?
This is one of the first Miracle Worker ships to have a cloak, is one of the first things, if I recall correctly. The layout is fairly open-ended, if I recall correctly, if you want to open up the station.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, so you have your... Oh gosh, these KDF symbols are harder to read than the other ones we have. But the Commander Engineering Miracle Worker and the Lieutenant Commander Tactical, and I believe that's an Ensign Science, and then there's the Lieutenant Commander Universal and a Lieutenant Universal / Miracle Worker, unless that's a Tactical / Miracle Worker. It probably is Tactical. Can you mouse over that?
This guy?
Yeah. You select it. Okay, yeah. But you have the Lieutenant Commander Universal seat, and you have your choice of which seat you want to make the most of your Miracle Worker specs on. One, both, neither. It's up to you. So there's a fair amount of flexibility with the ship, and there's a lot of synergy between the existing abilities of engineering and tactical and the miracle worker abilities. You can do things like emergency power to weapons or directed energy modulation to increase your power levels, make your weapons more effective, and then, you know, that's what most tactical abilities do. So you get to have a lot of firepower on this ship while you still have a good amount of survivability, because it is a battle cruiser. It has the battle cruiser stats. It has engineering abilities if you want to use those to survive. It can have science abilities if you like those.
So this is the console we're firing off. What does this bad boy do?
So what this console does is it blasts your target with a heavy amount of proton damage, and it reflects from them to a couple of other nearby enemies, and it also drains their power levels. You're basically kind of destroying their EPS systems, and the power surge is not good for this ship. And so that's kind of how it plays out.
And you said that was proton? What type of damage?
It's proton damage.
Proton damage. So if you have proton consoles, will those affect it?
Yes, although not to be confused with anti-proton damage. Proton damage is something we've, in the past, mostly done on Dyson ships.
Okay.
But we have done it in a few other places, and this is one of them.
That's cool. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's any questions. Is it supposed to have the sarcophagus style cloak? Yes, Jet mentioned that when she came in. That'll be fixed. If not this week, then next week. We'll let you know when I get them patch notes from Justin, whose desk I have to go haunt after this to get them patch notes.
Yes, them patch notes.
Yeah. D. Ramsey's getting their hair done next week. Purple or black? Go purple, always. And I looked away from the screen for a second. I got confused about which way was the front end of my ship.
Yeah. I had a little bit of an issue when I was flying the ship around as to which way was the front, but there's a couple of ships like that. You get used to it.
Yeah. Now, for the people who are looking at the deeps the ship is putting out, keep in mind this is with default white weapons on it, because we didn't have time to do a crazy Spartan build for it. So this is just how this ship is doing with normal weapons, which is still pretty good.
And with Mike flying it too, which makes it even better.
My God.
One of these days, Mike, we're going to learn you to fly ships good.
What am I doing wrong? You're supposed to circle it and keep both the forward and back arc in front of it.
You see how that torpedo, neither of them are lit up?
Yeah.
You don't have either torpedo and arc. If you're flying some ship that's mixing beam arrays and torpedoes, what you want to do is turn the ship so that you can get the torpedo and arc when it comes off cooldown, and then turn your ship back to get the rear weapons back in arc.
Okay. But the ship is slow to turn, so I guess we'll do that.
So the slower the ship is, like I mentioned, I think probably the last time I was on stream, the more you have to think ahead in time about the ship.
Yeah.
So you want to start turning like a second or two before the torpedo comes off cooldown if you're mixing torpedoes and beams like that. It's not something I always recommend, but it's certainly something I've done more than once because we have a lot of nice set bonuses involving torpedoes. Speaking of mixing torpedoes and beams, though,
yeah,
funny I should mention that because have you seen the Starship trait on this ship?
I would love to see the Starship trait on this ship. Let's take a look at it. Entwined tactical matrices. All right, so tell us about this.
So, one of the main reasons that people don't always feel the best about mixing beams and beams or cannons with torpedoes or mines is there's a bridge officer ability cost because beams get a lot better if you're using fire at will or beam overload. Cannons do with rapid fire, scatter volley, or exceed rated limits or whatever else you like to use, and torpedoes and their abilities. And this trait was designed to target two separate things. One of which was if you're just using beams or cannons in a torpedo, or mostly cannons and mostly torpedoes with a cannon or beam, it was designed to help you get more use out of them without quite the opportunity cost of throwing away your lieutenant commander, lieutenant rank tactical seats at a weapon you might only have one of, and to reward people for leaning into those mixed energy types. That was something we thought was thematically appropriate for a battlecruiser in general, and also a Miracle Worker ship, because Miracle Worker, the spec has a couple of focuses in it of mixing your beams and your cannons. Mixed armament synergies is one of the main places that comes up, because that rewards you for shooting different types of weapons. But there's also exceed rated limits that I mentioned earlier that buffs both your cannons and your beams at the same time. And also, battlecruisers have the most weapons of any ship type because they're cruisers, so they get all 8, and then they lean the most tactical, so they have the most space to augment your weapons on it and the most lean. Like, this isn't the fleet version, so this one only has 3 tactical consoles, but the fleet version gets a 4th, and you can even slot a 5th in the universal console slot if you want.
Yeah. So somebody was saying, I was asking if the console was bound to this particular ship, or if it's usable on all ships.
This console should be usable on any ship you have.
Cool. And here's the stats for it, if you guys wanted to see that. Yes.
So I mentioned there was 2 things the Starship trait does. One of the other things it does is it allows you, if you don't care as much about the fact that you can get more use out of all your weapon types with just hitting one button, what you can do is you can activate torpedo spread and then activate cannon scatter volley, and then the first torpedo you fire gets whatever the higher ranked torpedo spread you have active is, and then immediately afterwards you can fire another torpedo, and that will also do the torpedo spread 1 from the Starship trait. Or if you like flying with cannons, you can activate cannon scatter volley, and when that's about to wear off, activate torpedo spread to get cannon scatter volley 1 for a couple more seconds. Or if you like beams, you can do the same thing. So if you're interested in just trying to maximize your uptime on a specific ability, you can slot either the torpedo ability or a beam or a cannon ability to get more uptime and more activations out of that.
Okay. Cool. Is that power drain buffed by Drain X? Someone asked.
Yes, the power drain on the ship's console scales with Drain Expertise.
Nice.
Which is also why it's displaying as 31.5, because I don't think that's the base number.
Yeah. Cthulhu wanted to know if the proton damage is affected by the... it got moved away by the proton particle stabilizer console.
I don't remember off the top of my head which console that is, which is surprising for me, but I do remember looking up and it is buffed by the Dyson Reputation tactical consoles, if that was the question.
Okay.
Proton Particle Stabilizer is probably the Reputation set console, and it should also be buffed by that, but I don't know for sure.
Okay. There was a question, somebody, I believe this is how all traits work, but correct me if I'm wrong. Nebshake90 wanted to know if the trait for this ship can be claimed by all characters on all factions once you've gotten to mastery level on it.
No. You have to master the ship that comes with this trait if you want to have this trait. There is an account unlock store for a couple of specific traits that we set up. That was for ships that existed at the time where there was no way to obtain the trait on some other factions.
Okay.
But we haven't added anything to that store in a long while because we've mostly been doing cross-factional ship releases or finding some other way to get you the trait.
So traits are bound to a character when you unlock them then?
Yeah. In general, traits only unlock for the character that mastered the ship, and that's what you should assume.
Okay. Sounds good. Validus Solus, I cannot answer that question. Sorry. Wink. Let's see. Someone was saying normally the KDF ship traits are available in boxes for Feds and vice versa. That's true, but for this particular pack, there's a Fed ship that will give you this trait and a Klingon ship that will give you this trait. So we don't actually need to do that. Just purchase the ships. If you only want this particular trait or this particular ship, you don't have to buy the bundle. There will be on sale individually as well. It's just, you know, a better deal to buy the bundle. He said, knowing that in 2 minutes Reddit will have a thread about how that he said that, tearing him to pieces. Let's see. Jimbo Stein wants sarcophagus frigate pets. You know the ship is smaller than the sarcophagus by quite a lot, right? Just putting that out there.
I think I'll make Enterprise J frigate pets first. I also don't think I'll ever make Enterprise J frigate pets.
But why not? That sounds so reasonable and balanced. Fire the torpedo. I turned my butt towards him. Jeez. Oh no. Let's see. Are there plans to make starships account-wide unlocks? That already happens for C-Store ships like these guys. So if you buy the bundle, you get it on all ships in your account. I think you were asking about low-buy ships and lockbox ships, which currently there's no plans to make that change. We're listening to feedback all the time, but that one's not on the docket for right now. Sirius Fleet says it's aft, not butt. You're right. It is the aft of the ship. Yeah. Let's see. How long do the fire at will and cannon scatter volley from the trait last?
They last the normal 10 seconds. It's pretty much as if you were activating the ability, except that anything that cares about you actually activating it won't care.
Okay.
Because you're not actually activating it, you're just... It's as if somebody else activated it for you.
And to ask the question that I saw from the freakout in chat, a little nicer than it was asked in chat, what was the reasoning behind making the trait activate Fire at Will 1 as opposed to, say, I don't know, 2 or 3?
The standard way that we give you these things, as should have been seen from the spread, the rapid, the overload mods, or the superior area denial trait, is just giving you the rank 1 of the ability. So it's consistency and power level is what it comes down to.
That makes sense.
Free Fire at Will 1, Free Scatter Volley 1, Free Torpedo Spread 1. These are all powerful effects on their own.
Yeah. I was going to say, does it stack with the other Fire at Wills, but no, obviously, because they have a shared cooldown.
Yeah, your weapon is only going to be doing one thing at a time. If you have a torpedo, it can only fire Torpedo Spread 3, not a Torpedo Spread 3 and a Torpedo Spread 1 in the same shot. There's only so much space in the torpedo tubes and only so many algorithms your weapons can run at a time.
JE just asks 100% Fire at Will uptime, and then does this.
Yes, this trait can give you 100% Fire at Will uptime if you know how to sequence your torpedo spreads.
So that was one of the torpedo spreads, kids.
That was one of the things it was designed to be able to do.
You can only get 100% Fire at Will uptime, though, if you have torpedoes. Well, I guess you could use the torpedo ability and not have any torpedoes on your ship. That would be
If
odd.
you feel like it, you can press torpedo spread, and the trait will work if you don't have torpedoes equipped. There's a cost to doing so. It costs you a lot of precision timing. It costs you a torpedo spread. It costs you a starship trait slot, but you can do it.
Time Skipper wants to know if you have a particular console or trait that you always use on all of your ships, whatever the situation.
No, I don't. I fly a lot of different ships, and I build them a lot of different ways, and it varies immensely. I do have certain traits I have a preference towards, but different ships call for different things, and if there's something that belongs on everything, then I've kind of failed as a systems designer, because that would indicate a lack of meaningful choices in that department.
And that is one of the things we always try to do with this game, is give you meaningful choices. Tan Kimaz says, Jet, marry me? Just wanted to put that out there. Is the Omega ship account unlockable when one character unlocks it? Yes, if you finish the anniversary event, that ship unlocks for your entire account. So you can have that sweet, sweet Vulcan ship on every character. Let's see. Gwendolmere, I do not know the answer to that question. But I will find out. The question was, you actually might know. If you purchase the pack, do the character bound item, which at this point I think is just the keys and the it might not even be the keys, but it's the tardigrade pet. Does that automatically go to the character you bought it on, or do you get a pack you can trade between your characters? I don't know.
I don't know either.
Okay, well, we'll find out, and I'll get back to you.
The keys I don't believe are bound to character, though.
Okay.
But the tardigrade...
The tardigrade is.
The tardigrade is a... Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know enough to say.
Yeah. Let's see. Now everyone wants a donut. Will there, in the long run, be a battle zone to get every mark out there? Possibly. But I'm going to say most likely not. Maybe. But if we didn't build a battle zone when we made the rep, it's unlikely we'll go back and make one later. But maybe we will.
If you count adventure zones, we're actually fairly close. Starting with Omega, we have Defera Ground, which I know needs some love, but exists. For Nukara Rep, there's the Tholian Adventure Zone. There are adventures you can do on New Romulus Ground that get you Romulan marks. I think the next reputation was Dyson, which has the Dyson Battle Zone. Followed by Undine, which has the Undine Space Battle Zone in the same area.
Go on, name all the battle zones.
No,
Go on.
If you open up the rep list or your inventory to show me all the marks
you're
in
doing this
order,
from memory now.
All right, let's see. After Undine,
I want to hear like the Capitals of the World song from Animaniacs. I want to hear that before Reputations.
No, it's not happening.
It's happening. We're gonna make it happen. I'm gonna get Thomas to write it because you know he will.
So I know Reputations we've done after Undine. Let's see. There was the Iconian has the. Thank you. So Delta marks and Iconian marks can both be gotten from Kobali. You can get, I believe, temporal and Terran marks from the Badlands battle zone.
Lucarius from the Zenkethi battle zone, which just had some changes. So it's just a competitive zone then that doesn't have its own. It doesn't have its own battle zone.
Because there's the sector space battle zone for gamma marks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're almost there.
Yep. Dijon Cyanide says no new Iconian marks until the Red Angel is revealed, which. So you know what I love? I love that everybody is saying, man, the Red Angel looks like an Iconian. And unless I'm wrong, that's only based on our design of Iconians, right? The version of Iconians we drew doesn't exist anywhere else in Star Trek, right?
As far as I know, the concept art for Iconians that ours are based on, and I might be wrong on this, so please don't cite me everywhere.
Yeah.
But as far as I know, that's Hector's concept art or someone else at Cryptic's concept art that we based our Iconians on.
So if the Red Angel is Iconian, which really we don't know, they didn't tell. They told Al, he knows, but we don't know. Blah blah blah. It turns out to be Iconian, and she looks like one of our Iconians. That would be really cool. I don't know that that's what's going to happen. Because Iconians are a pretty deep cut for Star Trek fans. If you're for like people who aren't, the kind of cool people who play Star Trek online. So, I don't know if that's what they'll go for. We'll see.
I don't know either. Al knows a lot about Discovery that he's not telling me, and I know things about Discovery that I'm not telling you, but I definitely don't know anything about the Iconians. I know Discovery talked to us a lot about a lot of stuff. I don't know what all the stuff they talked to us about was.
We did send them a lot of information and images and things. I don't know. Wait, I don't know what I don't know, sadly.
I know some of the things I don't know.
Yeah. Smedley says, tempt Al with donuts to make him talk. If you think that Al's loyalty to Star Trek would be tempted by mere donuts, I think you'd have to threaten his family, and even then he might not do it. He'd be like, yeah, that would suck if you killed my family, but JVC decided not to talk about this, so I can't. Let's fire off this console again. Well, I can't because I'm targeting a disabled ship. Boom! There we go. Boom. All power to spacebar.
So yeah, I heard you mention the fact that I'm going to be working on Warbirds and Jem'Hadar ships, it looks like, soon?
Yeah. Yeah, I did mention they were on the schedule. I didn't mention soon, but if soon is a thing we can mention. Excellent.
Well...
Soon, TM?
Right, so I recently finished up ships that don't go out for a couple of months. My schedule is not completely linear. So I'm working on it soon doesn't mean it goes out soon.
Yeah, but it does mean you were working on it, which means it exists.
Mm-hmm.
Which is exciting.
Yeah.
Because every time we're like, what new ships should we make? I'm like, Romulan and Jem'Hadar ships.
Oh, yeah. Same. It's,
yeah.
There's a lot of people saying that, which is part of why they're happening. There's also a lot of community people saying that, which is why I think the two of us are saying it. So.
Oh, Jimbo Stein, and that sounds like the Styx 10 forward was lost then. Sorry about that. I must have forgotten to put it up. All right, let's just... Boop! I can never remember which one does the thing I wanted to do. There we go. So now we've got the pilot ship. So tell us about this pilot warbird.
This is not a warbird.
Not a warbird. It's pilot bird of prey. I know.
So I have thought this one looks like a warbird sometimes, but
yeah,
this is actually pilot bird of prey.
Yeah.
So these ships were a lot of fun to design. Part of which is because I have a love of pilot maneuvers, as anyone who has seen the Scimitar I have orbiting your space dog would know.
Oh my god, that turn rate. Oh, jeez. Oh, I'm sort of in love with this ship.
So the concept for this was kind of like what I mentioned in the blog, is if you take a bird of prey, you distill it down to a ship that wants to move places quickly and shoot things and go. And so the bird of prey design that this one has is what's I think more commonly been termed the Raider layout. It has the 6 weapons, the Commander Tactical, everything else is universal. And
shall we take a look?
Yeah, and that allows for a lot of flexibility in what the ship gets to do, because you have 4 universal seats where you can throw all science abilities, all engineering abilities, all tactical abilities, whatever makes you feel like. So there's a lot of options there for how you want to set out the ship, which I think is really cool and opens up people to do a lot of customizing with their ship. The pilot maneuvers really help you jump around the map, and that's helpful if you want to get right up behind someone, if you want to get as far away from someone, if you just blew things up and you want to not die to the warp core breaches, whatever you want to do, because this ship is squishy.
Yeah. Is it kind of a glass cannon build? Well, if you built it upright?
You could build it to be a glass cannon because the ship's stats will innately lend it that way, but you can also throw on a lot of abilities like auxiliary power to dampeners, polarized hull, hazard emitters, attack patterns Omega and Delta, and get a lot of resistance buffs that way that would help it not play that way. You can fly the ship between 0 and I think you can almost fill every single slot other than the Commander Tactical on that ship with the heal, technically.
Oh, yeah.
So, because pilot spec has heals. So
that's true.
You can really do a lot of what you want to with the ship.
It looks like we don't have the experimental weapon that comes with this ship, unfortunately. I'm not sure why.
Did you give yourself the fleet version of the ship?
Oh, this is the fleet version that I'm flying right now.
The fleet version doesn't come with the special experimental weapon.
But the regular one will. There we go.
So this experimental weapon was actually really cool. So it's kind of a point defense thing, because the idea was you're flying this ship that is, as I mentioned a minute ago, it's going to default to squishy, and torpedoes are good at killing you. Also, hangar fighters or fighter bays, anything with a hangar bay is really annoying.
Yeah.
Anything named Herc Swarmer is really annoying.
I was gonna say.
And these nasty little things that like to fly at you are something that point defense is really good against. And so this experimental weapon is, I think, one of the more unique ones we've done so far. It has only a 5-kilometer radius, and it doesn't care what you have targeted.
It'll just hit whatever's within 5 kilometers of you.
It hits the closest enemy with shield bypassing electrical damage and has a massive innate accuracy boost, so it is unlikely to miss. It technically still can, it is just very unlikely. And the distance drop-off on this weapon is enormous. If you were at point-blank range to anything, it is going to light it up like nothing else will, but if you get out to 5 kilometers, I think it drops down to 15% of the base damage at max range.
So what you're saying is you should use this for attack runs on, like, because one of my favorite things to do in this game, which is often silly, is like in Borg Disconnected, flying down the top of the Voth Dreadnought and unleashing unholy hell on it.
Yeah. Similarly, it's probably also really good at the breach,
because
it's just going to auto-target all those nodes and blow them up for you.
Ooh, Jet, I am falling in love with this ship as I fly it. This is a really fun design. This is my kind of ship, fast and hard-hitting.
And the starship trait was...
And for those of you who are going, because somebody asked earlier, why isn't Cal exploding? I did put on a cheat to make us not explode, so you guys could see the ships in action more.
Yeah.
What's the console on this bad boy?
So the console on this one... Ooh.
I have Chains of Fire on this.
You do.
Let's just put that down.
You also have... if you scroll down a little bit, we are going to see, any second, the Graviton Displacer console. So what this kind of does is position a gravity well about 3 kilometers in front of your ship that moves with you as you turn, as you fly. And so you can see the map is now in the center of the screen.
No matter where I go, they are going to fly around in the middle and let me shoot at them.
And I spent a while fine-tuning it so that it would try and keep them within cannon firing arcs in front of your ship, as well as anything that has a wider firing arc than a cannon.
That is a neat console, dude.
But yeah, pretty much you point it in, well, the direction your ship is flying, and things show up, and your cannons get to go pew-pew.
So this really is a ship designed around getting in real close, putting everything in front of you, and just firing at everything.
It is, and the console can go on any ship, so if you have other ships you like doing that on, then by all means, go for it on whatever ship you like.
So people have been asking today, because I don't think it actually was in the blog, unfortunately. These ships do have Raider flanking. This one and the Shran both do. And I realized I just showed off both Klingon ships and ignored the Federation ships this stream. That is so me.
That's fine.
they're pretty similar.
You will see plenty of screenshots of those gorgeous Federation ships all over Reddit and the forums and Twitter and Facebook and wherever else people post beautiful pictures of starships these days.
There is an STO screenshots subreddit, it turns out.
There is.
Not it turns out. I've known about it for 2 years. But is this console universal for any ship?
Yes, I just talked about that.
Yeah.
You can take the console, you can put it on whatever ship you want, and do terrible, terrible things to your enemies with it. Or you can be nice, although I'm not actually sure how you would do that, but you could try.
Oh man, this ship is really fun. Whoop! I love pilot maneuvers so much.
Pilot maneuvers backwards is one of the most underrated things I think about pilot maneuvers.
Yeah, it's such a great thing. We have test accounts that Jet made that we use for playtests sometimes, and she built a really good Klingon with the Kelvin bird of prey, which is just... Can you hit the light behind the screen? Which she built to just be an insane beast. And I love flying it, and I love doing that. I love getting up real close like this, and then whoop! Nope, I get another run at you.
Yeah, just the ability to reset the strafing run if you mistime something or whatever happens is really helpful.
Just to note, though, you can't actually use the power if you don't go whoop. It just doesn't work. That's hard coded into the game.
Yeah. Pretty much what he said, through reasons I'm not going to talk about. Rest assured, your privacy is completely safe.
Yeah. All right, so let's take a look at the trait while we're on the final boss fight here. So this is Strike from Shadows. When damaging a foe that doesn't have you targeted, you get less threat generation, and you do more critical damage and more damage. More critical chance and more damage.
Yeah. So the trait was designed to some extent be self-enabling, but it was really designed to reward you for flying a squishy ship and flying it leaning into that role. In the past, I know one of the things we've sometimes done is if you get shot, you get more damage, which just does this terrible thing where now everyone's trying to get shot. And that leads to undesired gameplay is how I'm going to summarize the problems that tend to occur when this happens. And so this trait was my idea of, what if we reward a ship that likes to shoot people for not getting shot at? Because ships that like to shoot people
shouldn't get shot at.
Yeah, we tend to build them as really squishy things like this.
Yeah.
And so it's designed to be really easy to enable. You can see the buffs last for 30 seconds. And one of those buffs is your decreased threat generation. So presumably once you have less threat, if you're flying with other people on your team, it's easy to shoot something else and keep refreshing the duration of this buff and keep it active for a while. And then you also get the one-shot placate to make sure they're definitely not targeting you. Even if you're not decloaking on someone, it's not that difficult to get the jump, at least on an NPC. Players varies based on your skill and other factors.
Yeah.
But it's designed to really help this ship survive and excel at being a squishy, damage-dealing monster.
Now, question about the console. Since the console gives you additional kinetic damage, was the thought process behind this that it would be a really good console for like torp boats?
So that was actually added for partially thematic reasons. There is a giant thing of gravity drawing ships towards a point in space that tends to be bad for your hull, as we've talked about with things like Gravity Well and a lot of similar abilities.
Yeah.
And the gravitational forces that are pulling everything around you towards this point are probably shearing their hull or otherwise crushing things. And that's how we tend to represent that mechanic in game.
It's kinetic stuff.
Also, people like it when their consoles damage things. So
yeah,
that kind of helps out the power level to an extent as well.
That's cool. But you could technically put that on a torp boat if my build senses are tingling correctly. And you can tell me if I'm wrong here. You could technically put that on a torp boat. Why didn't that vacuum him in?
I'm not sure.
Well, there we go. You can technically put that on a torp boat where you've got a bunch of kinetic damage buffed out, and then would do more. The console would do more damage as you're also pumping torpedoes into these held enemies.
Yeah, I don't know how many pure kinetic damage buffs we have, but any of those would be good to have for both torpedoes and this console and a bunch of other things that we have. Certainly. I do like putting it on a torp boat because torpedoes have a similarly restricted firing arc.
Yeah.
And just lining something up to launch tricobalt torpedoes because those would love to have only 3 kilometers to travel to their target, or other similar things that you're shooting at people.
Yeah, things that go slow, and that you hope they don't have their point defense console on their ship that you do.
Yeah. Well, who knows?
Yeah. Well, that's really interesting. Duncan Idaho says you could put it on a torp boat and travel the river of explosions with a jaunty Captain Hat and a merry tune playing for the Cali. Okay, Cthulhu says, I'm curious about how Strike from Shadows operates if you have a team tank that pulls all the threat and no one targets you. Would it affect everything hit by your fire at will, spread, CSV? Any interactions with, say, firing under enhanced battle cloak or phase cloaks?
So, the trait is, I would like to believe, fairly straightforward. If you have a weapon and it shoots someone, and at the time it shot someone, that person wasn't targeting you, you get the buff. You only have 1 stack of the buff active at a time. It doesn't matter if you've hit 500 enemies magically that none of them have targeted you. But if you have a tank out, then it's probably not that difficult to enable. If you're decloaking on someone, it probably also, you're most likely getting the buff unless they were seeing you through the cloak, which is not that common.
Jet, this is the first time I've seen us next to each other. I was joking about our hair matching. Our hair exactly matches. We didn't do this on purpose. We both got our hair done around the same time and came back with this. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Well, we have good taste. What can I say?
I was just trying to do something slightly different than pink or just purple.
Yeah, there you go. Let's see. Looking to see if there's anything else that our questions... Our hairstyles are the same but inverted. Yeah, there you go. Is the placate limit... Jay wants to know why the placate limit on that trait is so low.
As in, only once per minute instead of once per 10 minutes or something else? A lot of the times, stuff doesn't last that long. And the intent is, and if it is lasting that long, you're probably going to need the help.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Jay is saying it's because he's asking about the 1.6k damage and the placate ends. Why do we pick that number? Oh, that's not Thomas.
Yeah, I mean...
That's, yep. One of people were making Thomas comments in the chat. My bad. So what was the reasoning behind the 1.6k damage?
I don't think that was intended to be that fragile of a placate. Can you mouse over that again for me?
I can. Hold on. Let me bring it back up so everybody can see it. Shut up, dude. No one wants to talk to you. Here we go.
The Starship tree. Unless it was on the console.
Yeah.
Yeah, the placate threshold on that is lower than I think I was looking for. So there's a good chance that will go up. Thanks for pointing that out, Jay.
Okay, well, there we go. Sentinel 1964, we are working every day on that stupid sea store ship bug. I know what you're talking about. Hopefully it'll get fixed soon. Let's see. Mike Tripp, this is Jet. It's on the name bar now. I fixed it.
Hi, yes, I'm Jet, not to be confused with Thomas, who does fairly different stuff, even though I talk to him about every day about the same things.
Augmented Dictator Game says he was going to say you do 1.5k damage with a wet noodle.
Yeah. No, 1.5k is not a lot of damage for space. We definitely know that.
Dijon Cyanide says, do you know offhand if the flanking for these is the regular or the improved flanking?
These ships do not have improved radar flanking. They just have flanking.
Okay. Cool. Kel MG96, can we add filters in a search bar to the C-Store? God, I hope so. We're looking at a lot of UI improvements over the next year, really. Let's see. John Borg wants to know if we're reading Facebook questions. Yes, we are.
Test received.
Yep. Let's see. Most of the time I don't read Facebook questions because, there's a difference in the two audiences. The Twitch questions tend to be very specific questions about the guests we're talking to, and Facebook questions on a general whole, I love you guys, but tend to be, when am I getting X ship? Which I can't answer. So if it seems like I'm ignoring you, Facebook, that's why. Ask better questions. I love you.
Oh, I got a lot of that too. I
Yeah.
used to, when I was in the QA team, I'd poke developers with questions, and sometimes like a 1-day turnaround on getting responses because, no, I don't know when I'm going to get around to being able to fix this because I'm trying to build this thing that has to go out soon, or fix the other 5 bugs that you sent me on it, or other things. And
yeah. Just to answer the question, because it's coming up a bunch on Twitch chat, it's unlikely that before the pack goes out tomorrow, the tardigrade will be changed to account unlock. And by unlikely, I mean it won't. Let's see. Will we only be making scaling ships from now on? That's a very good question. You'll have to see in the future. But people seem to like them.
People seem to like them. It's an experiment, like I think I've mentioned in every single blog that I've written describing them. But so far, it seems to not be imploding the game, and seems to be something that's generally well liked.
Yeah, it was one of the things that made people like the pack a little better after the initial reaction.
These are our first tier 6 scaling ships in the C-Store,
Yeah.
and also, as someone else pointed out, from your fleet.
Yeah.
The fleet quality ships available are also scaling ships, and you can use them if you're level like 2 character and your fleet has a tier 3 starbase. Go for it.
Yeah. Let's see. Don Prolug, I did get your email. The reason you haven't gotten your prize yet from me getting that email last week is I have to get a copy of the game and get it signed by everyone because I don't know what happened to what you were supposed to win, but I want to get that to you. Let's see.
I get to sign more things.
Yay! Yay! Let's see. KD1972 wants to know, and this is more of a Jeremy question, I think, it's higher level, but have we considered taking the Jem'Hadar Tier 6 Mastery and applying that to any other ships?
I actually can't answer this question.
You can? Okay, good.
We have considered it, and I don't think we have any plans that we want to announce at the point in time. I do know that was an experiment, much like scaling ships has been, and there's a lot of considerations, and those considerations are the ones largely above my pay grade to answer.
Yeah, that was kind of what I thought. Let's see. Will Brent Spiner ever do any voice work for Data? God, I hope so. What is the best way to draw your own starship apart from practice? But it is practice. If you want to draw your own starship, you've got to practice drawing. I'm sorry, I don't. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Let's see. All right, so we're getting into a lot of questions that are not questions about this or questions that I can't answer, which is looking more and more like it's time to wrap up the streams. That's usually my signal. Any ETA on the winning screenshots being added to the loading screen due to the issues? We're working on that fix. Yeah, you may have noticed the loading screen isn't rotating right now. It's just one image that we change every now and then. We are working very hard to get that back to rotating images because a bunch of you won chances to get B screenshots in the game, and I want to give you that. Unfortunately, it was one of those things where we announced the contest. The technical issue popped up immediately after we announced it, and I didn't want to be like, well, the grand prize doesn't exist anymore, because I figured we'd fix it pretty quick. It has been a while, and I apologize for that, but we do want to get your stuff into game. Let's see. The consoles don't seem to have any set bonus, no.
No. Have you gotten any questions about Photonic Officer? Because I know I rebuilt that, and I think that went up to Tribble on Monday.
I haven't gotten any questions, but would you like to talk about it?
So Photonic Officer is this really cool bridge officer ability that has been criminally unused for like the entire time I've been at Cryptic, and the main reason for that is about the entire time I've been at Cryptic, it's not been a good ability.
That would be why it's underused, yeah.
That's been the long and short of it. I buffed it a couple of ways, almost 2 years ago at this point in time, and it seemed like an amount of play, and I was having a conversation about this with Jeremy recently, because I like to make stuff better, and so sometimes like random patches go out and there's something that's rebuilt to be better or just fixed or buffed or however else. Photonic Officer was one of these cases, and the main couple of reasons that we came down to...
For those of you people who don't know what it is, what does Photonic Officer do?
Photonic Officer is this Science Bridge Officer ability from Lieutenant to Commander ranks, and when it does, on holodeck at the moment, or on Andor or on Romulus, while it's active, your Bridge Officer cooldowns recharge a little bit faster while it's active.
Okay.
And it has, I think it's I forget what the percentages are, and it doesn't matter because I just changed this. And its uptime is 50% of the time. It lasts for a minute, it has a 2-minute cooldown, and there is nothing you can do about that 2-minute cooldown. And this had a couple of problems, one of which was the amounts wasn't really high enough to be worthwhile, and 60 seconds of downtime is difficult to fill the gaps on, was a major part of it. It also had this weird UI thing where the recharge timers on abilities display, it's going to currently take this much time to finish recharging, and so when your ability recharges X% faster buffs wear off, the recharge timers in all your abilities jump upwards because now the remaining time is at a more normal rate. And it looks weird.
That does look weird.
And so on Tribble right now, and potentially on Holodeck tomorrow, I think, it's redesigned. It has a 30-second cooldown, and it's active for 20 seconds, which is most of the uptime, and there's only a 10-second downtime. And then each second while it's active, it decreases the remaining the recharge times of all the bridge officer abilities currently on recharge. So you just get to watch this little timer do like this tick down around the circle. And so there was a couple of main reasons to do this. Basically, we wanted the ability to be worth a look again, and we felt that making it have a higher percentage uptime and just lower actual downtimes would make people better able to work around it as an ability. And it looks like the initial feedback I've gotten from Tribble has been that it's certainly better than it used to be, and people are thinking about that. So I'm excited to hear that, and it's always cool when I get to do these kinds of things.
There's a report coming in from Tribble playtesting that the Photonic officer duty officers that are supposed to reduce that cooldown even more don't seem to be currently reducing that cooldown. The
Photonic studies duty officer that reduces the cooldown on photonic abilities is not going to work on these on either the new photonic officer or the existing photonic officer. That's a legacy problem I have to solve from about, I want to say 3 or 4 years ago, when it was changed to no longer have its cooldown be able to be reduced. It is something I'm aware of, but I'm not sure at this point in time what change is going to happen to it. It should still work on the other photonic abilities that are in the game, such as Photonic Shockwave, though.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for having us. Jet, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you coming on, as always. We're going to try and do, just because, we like having Jet on so much, on some slower weeks, we might have her on to just do some more Jet's Build Corner and show off some cool ships and how to fly them best. But until then, folks, thanks for joining us. I hope you had fun, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Telescopes in 1949 to measure the radiation or heat left over from the moment of creation. And at the time, there were other problems with the Big Bang theory.